everybody. Thank you for inviting me to this Congress. Legacy. What is in a word? Well, this building, that's part of the legacy of this famous traditional city. We are enjoying what former generations have built up, and we are happy to be here in this wonderful place. We are living in difficult times. Peace is not guaranteed all over the world. We have to fight for it, and we already heard this morning that we have to fight for the Olympic values as well. People are on the move, and this city knows what I'm talking about. So, if it's a difficult world, it's a difficult time for sports as well. And I will start my presentation to see what is at stake. And I hope that I find the technique here. Yes, it works. So let us start with some pictures. This is one I took in July last year in Vienna, close to the famous Hofburg. Maybe you cannot read what is written at the bottom of the sculpture, so let us look a little bit closer. There is written, boycott FIFA. And I was really shocked to read this in this famous city at such a place. Well, you can say FIFA, that has nothing to do with grassroots sports. But money that's taken by corruption from an organization like FIFA, or money that is spent now because they are all struggling one against the other and have to pay a lot of lawyers, or money that's not coming in because FIFA is in a very bad shape, that will be missing on grassroots level as well in football, because that money cannot be spent for Football for Hope, for example. So this has something to do with grassroots sports as well. And let us look to another picture. I took this one in Brussels in May this year. I've been there for a hearing at the European Parliament, and these were protesters protesting against the European Games in Baku and human rights violations in this country. I'm not going to judge in detail whether these protests are totally right or wrong, but we can see from these pictures that sport is under increased scrutiny from all over the world, from civil society, from political parties and others, and that of course has something to do with grassroots sports as well. And we have to see, you have to see how to deal with this situation and how to fight for your sport, for your work, and for the values you are standing for. So, but there is hope as well, and I will show you another picture. I don't know whether all of you recognize it. That's the title of the IOC Agenda 2020. You already have heard something about it this morning, and I think it's not just a wonderful picture showing us a little girl with hope, being excited, being concentrated, focused, I think, on sport, but it's a symbol for hope. And I think the Olympic Games, what they are standing for, and it's not just about high performance. Olympic Games from the origin is about education, about a good example, about bringing people together. And that's what we need in these times, bringing people together on the high level of the Olympic Games and on the grassroots level, just to overcome borders. So that's a sign of hope. The Olympic Games are a sign of hope, and I think the Olympic Agenda 2020 is a sign of hope as well. So now, legacy, what is in a word? Well, it's not just about infrastructure. Quite often I meet people, they say, well, the legacy of Olympic Games, of any major events, that are the stadium, the venues. Well, they are important too, but that's not the only thing. It's not just about infrastructure. And then another important point, legacy is not per se positive or negative. It's up to us what we make out of something. It's up to us how we organize, for example, an event like the Olympic Games, whether the legacy will be positive or negative, or sometimes both. Some things are positive, some things are negative. And legacy is not happening by itself. We have to work on it. So, on the whole, legacy is about the three famous P of sustainability: people, profit, and planet. And only if we bring these 3 points together, then we will have the possibility to really have a positive impact, a positive legacy. So what we are talking about now is about sustainability and future perspectives. And you have already in some of the opening speeches heard some of the points I'm going to touch now too. So legacy and sustainability, they are not the same, but they are closely linked together. Sustainability, and that's very important that we not just look onto the environmental issues, they are important, yes, we will have the big climate conference in Paris in December, and that's quite an important conference for the future of our planet, but it's not just about environmental issues, it's about as well economic impacts and social aspects regarding human rights, for example, physical activity for everybody, and all these parts of what you are standing for too. And if we are talking about sustainability, it's not something additional, something nice to have. It has to be in the core of your business, in the core of your work that you are doing. And it must include your supply chain. So Wolfgang, if you are distributing any pins of TAFISA to us, well, I want to know under which conditions these pins have been produced, in which country, and whether the working conditions for the workers doing this complied with the international labor standards. That's our responsibility. Whatever we are doing in every continent on the country, we are responsible in a global world for what is happening elsewhere if we are doing something, if we are profiting from the work, for example, from somebody working thousands of miles away from us. So our responsibility has been expanded, and people expect from us that we take this into account when we are working in sport, when we are organizing an event. So let me talk on the UN Sustainability Development Goals. They have been approved only a few weeks ago, and you already mentioned it. I'm very grateful that you quoted it. I think that's a big achievement, that for the first time the United Nations and all countries gathered their approved goals for the next 15 years, and they said we need global partnerships from all over the world, between all the countries, to achieve these goals, to help the people all over the world. And who better than sport, on the high level and on the grassroots level, can work on this? I think that's our task, that's your task, and I'm happy to talk to you on this today. So if we come from sustainability to legacy, legacy is not just hardware. I call this hardware if it's about infrastructure, some white elephants we have in some countries after the Olympic Games, but it is as well software, knowledge transfer. It's about volunteers we recruit for an event, and afterwards they are linked to sport, they are happy to be volunteers in other areas of sport or other areas of society as well. Legacy is about values transported by an event. Legacy, and I think that's the most important point IOC and other international sport organizations have to work on in the future, legacy is about sustainability. The London Games, we are very happy that by how they organize the games in a very sustainable way, looking to all the different areas, that with this they increase the perception of sustainability within the UK. And they said, well, we had really a boost on this issue, and that was very important for UK, and I think beyond, because some of this I find again in the Agenda 2020, and I think the Olympic Games with their sustainable approach had an impact as well onto the discussions within the International Olympic Committee. So sustainability and legacy is closely linked, and if we talk about legacy, it's about the most important part of it is the software, and that's where TAFISA comes in connection with major sport events, not just by the IOC, but by all other international sport organizations. So let me briefly talk as well at this point on good governance, because I know that you are going to approve a document on good governance. We have discussed it last time when I was a guest with your Congress in Enschede as well 2 years ago. So good governance is an important part to really achieve your goals, to comply with what you have set as your own goals, and to comply with your values. The expectations all over the world have changed, everybody wants to have democracy, transparency, accountability, and they are asking for it. We have seen with regard to FIFA, with regard to the European Games in Azerbaijan, that people nowadays look in detail. How is sport acting? What are the sport organizations standing for? Do they live to their values? Do they walk their talk? And the Agenda 2020 is really the right step to say, yes, it takes a long time, it will be a lot of work, but we want to walk our talk and not just talk about values, but really work on it. So what we realize nowadays, if there is a negative incident in any part of the world, within hours, everybody knows. If there is a crash of a factory in Bangladesh, we will know the next day in the morning news. And we will ask, well, my blouse, my t-shirt, where did I buy it? Where was it produced? Under which conditions? So that's something really impacting all of us. And reputation is the main asset of sport organizations, be it on grassroots sports, be it on high-performance sport. So we have to take care of these issues and we have to work on it. Responsible leadership creates a positive legacy. And so we need good governance to really have a positive impact, a positive legacy. Otherwise, our work will be for nothing. It will not really help future generations and maybe not even in the present. So I'm very happy that TAFISA has started this process. I'm congratulating you to this and I hope you will continue on it and will be successful with it. So coming back to what's at stake and looking back to the sign of hope being sent by the International Olympic Committee with the IOC Agenda 2020. The host city contract for the bidding procedure 224, and I know Budapest is bidding as well, has just been published 4 weeks ago on September 16. Being a lawyer and being very interested in how ideas, how values are going into a contract, I had a close look to it. There are some quite achievements already in the contract, but I think the IOC could go a little bit further, because the IOC, as an example for other international sport organizations as well, has a very high leverage. If cities are bidding, like Budapest, they will do everything to win the bid. So why not raise the bar and say, well, we need more, and put, for example, into the host city contract and the accompanying documents, not just in the preamble as it's now, sport is a human right, yes, that it is, that's important, but make sport participation a criterion, whether you can bid or whether you can have a successful bid or not. Insist on sport for girls and of course boys, but that we mostly have. Insist on this in schools. Make sure that no country can bid for Olympic Games where girls at all ages are not able to practice sport and physical activity. We just heard about it, how important it is with regard to health issues, and we know that in some countries girls and women are suffering because they are not allowed to really practice sport. The IOC would have the leverage by putting it as an important criterion into the whole city contract to say, well, a country that's not giving sport possibilities to all parts of the society cannot be a bidding country, a bidding city. So increase women's participation, that can be a criterion as well in the whole city contract. Stress the importance of diversity in active sport and in administration, having women at all levels of sport administration and leadership. Have good governance in sport as a key element. That's something the IOC could ask for as well. They should have asked for earlier with regard to FIFA and maybe some other international sport organizations. And see stakeholder involvement as decisive. Because only if you invite civil society and people not very close or not already involved in sport to discuss with the sport organizations, like you have invited me. I'm part of sport, but I'm as well part of other civil society organizations, so I know both sides, but it's so important to talk to one another, to learn from one another and to see what will be the best, what can we do for the legacy for future generations. Because I think all people engaged, be it in sport, be it in other civil society organizations, they want to do something for the future. And there is not one organization knowing the right path. There are different ideas, and only if we put them all together and if we fight for the best consensus, then we will have a positive impact, a positive legacy. So it's up to us, it's up to you to take over responsibility for a sporting legacy. And let me close with another picture. I love it. I took it in July when I was in London, in the metro station of London Heathrow. And I think this picture tells us what it is all about. And also the couch has been mentioned already this morning. So yes, I'm slow, but I'm letting everybody on the couch. It isn't important. It isn't important whether you have a record and whether you are an Olympic champion. It's nice to be, yes. Congratulations to everybody who is, but it's not so important. Just start, do something, and everybody can start, and I really love this picture. And so now, it's up to you to create your own Budapest legacy. Enjoy the next days. Thank you very much.